This might just work.
Hey campers, Georgia, back in the man pit. Tired of cutting trees and dealing with that stuff, so thought I'd look at some cuttings. Remember that mail call when Connecticut Bob sent me a bunch of electricians' knives? And one of them was this guy, TL29, on the handle. And these two, kind of different. I got 3 of them here. 3 kind of cool electrician's knives. Need to clean them up, polish them, make them look good before they go in the collection. It's been a while since I've done some leather. And I was just looking. I've got this slip here and looking at this electrician's mate. See that? It's made by nobody. There's nothing on it. Sheep's foot, different. An electrician's tool. It's pretty cool. I got one exactly the same as this, but it's called something different and somebody made it. The other thing is, that's a Barlow. It's a Barlow electrician's knife. Look at it. Look at that bolster. Plus, it's a wee diddly smaller. Pretty cool. They're all different. This guy is a 3-blader. So, we got to figure out, do we do slips or do we actually make, some barrel sheaths? Talking about this guy. See that? The 2CG barrel sheath. This guy goes in there pretty good. Look at that. But I think, an electrician's knife, it's a work knife. This is for a pocket pal, EDC, when you're out and about. When you're at work, you got to have a sheath. Easy access, pop the lid, pull the knife, and you're done. It's kind of a plain Jane, but it's really thin, designed for thinner knives. So we'll figure that out. Got to clean these guys up. Let's have a closer look at them, and then we'll make them sharp and shiny, and then we'll sheath them. Okay, so the first guy I have here is this guy, and that's the 3-tool one. Look at this. Really good condition. All the blades are pretty good condition. Some of the sharpening needs some work, but the blades themselves are in good shape. Handles in good shape, bolsters, springs look solid, and it's got a bail. We're ahead of the game on this one. And this one has this color on it, which has become really popular. Really popular. A lot of the new electricians' knives are coming with this as standard. Wasn't before. We always used the little 2-blade. This guy and a tool. That's it. You want to know who made this guy? Well, I don't know if you can see that. Yep. Colonial. You want to know how old it is? Your guess is as good as mine. There's really no way to date these unless you are familiar with handle materials, when they became popular, what was used. But this one is wood handled. Look at that. Real wood. Is that not cool? It's got the bail, it's got that special blade, nice bolsters, in really good condition. The blades themselves are in good shape. The shape they should be. I really like this one. It's one of my better 3-blade ones. The tools are beautiful and it's solid. Pretty good for colonial. Now this guy, like I said, is a very cool knife. And if you look at the big bolster, it's a Barlow. It says electrician's mate on it. I have a knife almost exactly the same as this. The only difference is it's called something different. And I think it was made by whoever made these a sales tool. It was a supply store that had them made, and that one was made by Colonial. It looks exactly the same. The only difference is there's nothing on the tang stamps. Otherwise it's exactly the same. On the other one it says it's Colonial. You don't find many Barlow electricians knives out there, and when you do, they're going to have the sheep's foot. Very cool. This will clean up very nice, very good condition. Got the bail, everything looks really cool. Black handle and everything silver. Always a cool finish. And then, well, this guy. Now, when I pick it up and I hold these two together, okay, if you didn't know any better, you would say they were made by the same people, but they're not. This is a Colonial, and this one, you probably guessed. Camillus. You know what I mean. That company. So if you saw the tang stamp that I had up there, 60s to late 70s. Very cool. Got the bail, the black handles, great looking blade. It's lost its belly a little bit, nothing big. 99% of them out there, this old, are in a lot worse condition. And this one's in really good condition. All three of them are. Bob looked after his stuff allegedly because he cleaned these up. But the problem I have with this guy, it says TL29. I don't have one that actually says that. And I got a couple of Camillus from the same era. TL29, I believe, was a military spec. And if this is the 60s to late 70s, Vietnam era, right? The problem is, if I show you this right now, you don't know it's a TL29. Unless, of course, I use nail polish. Somebody told me that. He said, you want to bring out that number? Put some nail polish on it and sand it down, and it'll go into the stamp and it'll stand out really cool. Another thing I just noticed, somebody's initials on the bolster. That makes it military. Guys used to do that all the time. And this one says VXS. VXS. I don't know if you can see it. See that? They used to do that so the other guys wouldn't whoop off with their knives. Very cool. I'm going to get my new nail polish recommended from the local beautician. Not really. I just found it at Walmart. It was the cheapest one I could find. They're expensive, man. We'll clean these three guys up and come up with a sheath of this style. Came in the other day. Woot. We got leather, we got knives, we got projects. Let's have at it. Okay, so we got these three ne'er-do-wells. And all we need to do to these guys is clean them up. They don't need anything special. They're in pretty good condition. So all I'm going to do is get some 10,000 sandpaper, go over them and make them nice and shiny, and we'll sharpen them up. And then we're going to look at sheaths. One thing I do need to do is bring out this TL29 on this guy. And I'm going to use this. I'm going to put that on first because I want it to dry, and we'll work on the other guys. I don't want to put too much on, so I just want to put a light coat over it. So we're going to start with this guy, and it's, this is the Colonial. We're going to go through each blade with 10,000 and get them shiny, work the bolsters and everything, and then just lightly over the wood, and we'll see where we are. Shouldn't take that much. Well, let's see how this does. I went over it with 10,000. You can see it there. This is the other side. I think I'm going to try 1,000 first and then go to 10,000. You can see the blade there. We'll start with the 1,000. There's a lot of scratching on this. Not much you can do with that. See here, you see the 10,000. I mean the 1,000. Let's see if we can make a difference with the 10 now. It makes a difference. It doesn't seem like much, but it made a difference. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over the whole thing with 1,000 and then go 10,000. Of course, we'll finish it off with mothers. No problem with food issues, hopefully. This is a work knife. It's really all it's used for. So we don't have to worry about the nastiness of polish. So there it is with the 10,000 after the 1,000. Now I'm going to do the rest of it. We'll see the end. We'll be ready for mothers. So we got the TL29 there working. It's a lot better, a lot more obvious. You can see that. Very cool. So there you are with the electric mate. Did the 1,000 and the 10,000. I really like this knife. The black and the silver, nothing else. Very nice. Cleans up nicely. It was in good condition. Look at these blades. We have them all cleaned up. We need to sharpen them, and of course I still got to go over mothers with them. We'll do that, and then we'll be sharpening them. But before I put mothers and things on that now, we're going to be making sheaths for them. So mothers will be the last thing before sharpening. Sheaths. This one I made a while ago. It was one of my first real attempts at a 2CG custom sheath idea. I saw a similar thing on I believe it was a Facebook post, maybe the Opinel Lovers page, something like that. Something similar with this whole round thing. And I just changed it for me. And the main reason I like it, it's basically two pieces of leather that you stitch together, put a snap on, and you're good. You're basically looking at one long piece and the barrel. So it's very simple, but they work really great. Belt loop is built in on that one piece, and you have a snap and everything, and you can make very easy to customize to a specific size of knife. So very, very cool idea. Now this sheath is almost perfect for this. Goes in there, and there you go. The problem is, if you look in the top here, it's a little tight with that sheep's foot. Here is an Opinel number 6, I think. Yeah, if you look on the ferrule there, it says number 6, and that goes in there just a little bit too short to get the snap. The only difference you'd need to do is make this piece of leather a little longer and you're good. And you can see how well it fits in there. It fits in there perfect. So this style, this size that I made, is pretty good for an Opinel 6. And I wondered, what about a Victorinox? And this is, it's a 3-stage. You've got 3 layers. So this is a 92 millimeter, 91, 92 millimeter size Victorinox, your Swiss Army knife, and it fits snugly. It's a 3-layer in here. Now it's really tight, and you can see a little short. Here's a 2-layer, same size, goes right in there, perfect. Now the thing about whether to use a slip or to use a sheath depends on the design, and this one you can see has the key ring or lanyard. You can attach a small lanyard here, which makes life a lot easier to get it out. You can pull it straight out with that lanyard. This doesn't have it, so for example, I'll put this in the wrong way around. It's hard to grab it, but you can push it up from the bottom just by pushing up, and then you've got enough. But it's not perfect. If you don't have this or this or a bail, they don't work as well in a sheath, but it'll work great in the slip. So we're dealing with sheaths here for these guys, and they have a bail. So going in there, when you close it up, you pop it open, you can grab the bail, and it comes out really easy. Now this is just a wee diddly too long, so the barrel is even just a little bit too tight. But whenever you work with leather, you got to remember over time it will stretch. Okay, so having it this tight is not an issue. It's going to loosen up with time, and it'll be easier and easier to pull out. Problem we have is we need to make this just a touch longer. So basically the same issue that we had with these, all about the same. So the barrel on this, for this one, has to be a little bit bigger because the sheep's foot sticks out. You can see how much higher the sheep's foot sticks out of the handle. I have an old beat up Barlow here. Okay, this is an Electrician's Barlow, but with a sheep's foot. This is your typical Barlow, a 2-blade Barlow, and it has clip on it. How does that fit in there? Well, you have that same issue where the clip, which sticks out from here, is up against that leather. So for a Barlow, we're going to have to make the barrel a little bit bigger. The size is okay. Once again, you have that problem. A Barlow, unless you have a bail on it, and Barlows typically don't, you have to push it from the bottom to give you enough grip. Probably better with a slip. So let's have at it. What we're going to do, this 3-layer is a whole different story. You've got this huge blade sticking out. It's bigger, wider, heavier, has the bail and everything, but it's going to have to be a custom sheath for that, and that's another story. This is not that common. These are way more common, and a pretty good size to work with. You can see this, although this is a 2-tool, this is a 3-layer, almost the same. So the sheath we make for this will probably work just great for that. These are all ways that you don't have to make custom stuff. You can make one size fits all type thing. Got me some leather, let's get it all measured up and cut up, and I'll show you how we do that. I got me some leather. Here you can see it here. And this is a vegetable tanned natural leather. Hundreds of different kinds of leather, different weights. They're talking about the thickness, that sort of thing. I have found, I get this from Muse Craft on Amazon, and you can get different sizes, different thicknesses, that sort of thing. It took me a while, but I finally made a decision and really like this particular one. Pretty easy to work with, and the size works for me. I will put a link below to where I get this from. It's on Amazon. It'll just be, you know, you can just go on Amazon and search Musecraft leather and you will find them, or just put in, you know, leather for tooling, sheaths. It's up to you to decide what you prefer. I finally found one that I've settled on. How do we make this guy? Like I said, 2 parts. We need a long piece, just a long rectangle, thin rectangle, and then we need this round piece, which is basically another rectangle, just bigger and wider. The trick is, how big do you want that circle? So you want to measure your knife. The best way to do it is you take your two points here. Here's the widest part from here to the blade. Here it's just basically the width of the knife. So what you will do to make your barrel, which is this piece, you lay it down like that, so that there's your starting point, and you basically just roll it, keeping it fairly straight. Keep rolling all the way to that same back angle. Now you have a mark to there. That is going to be the width of the rectangle for the barrel, because that's where the knife slips in. And we need to know, how long do we want the barrel? Now remember, when we put this in, it was a little short, okay, and you can see the way I do it here. If you look carefully in there, you can see that the knife is touching the bottom here in there, and it sticks out here. You want the same thing, that barrel piece there. So how long is that? 2.5 inches. So you get your trusty measuring tool, a nice ruler. This is a stainless steel one, and it has both metric and imperial. I grew up on metric, sorry. But the biggest trick is that you want this cork background. One of the reasons is it stops it sliding on the leather when you're making cuts and things like that. So that's always a good idea to have. So we said we want that barrel to be 2.5 inches, right? 2.5 inches. And how long is this thing? It is 2 7/8. Well, I like to round things up. Let's make it 3. So now we've got a 2.5 by 3, where the 2.5 is the depth where the knife sits, and the 3 was what the length we need to wrap around the knife. Now we're looking at this. How long do we need to make this? Well, if I do a rough measurement right now, by just holding it there and going around like this and coming up there, we're just under 10.5. So I'm thinking, if I make a piece 11, it gives me room for error. If you're making a bunch of these, you want to be consistent. You want them all to look the same. So now we need that long piece. And how long did we say? 11. Do we have enough here? Ah, we don't. But we do have enough here. So I'm going to go from here, and that's where it is. Now, see this ruler? It's kind of a standard size. And I've found that it is the perfect width for the barrel. See that? So all I do, ruler down, mark it off. So hopefully you can see this. It's kind of hard to see, but you've got our barrel here, and then that wrap that goes around the barrel. I use this, and these are kind of custom made. I made them myself. These were some survival knives that came from BPS knives. They didn't have handles on it, was just steel. But their cutting edges are really good, and they are good size, and I put these handles on. Before you start a project, you want to make sure whatever you're using to cut is sharp. You don't need to sharpen everything every time. You can just strop and get a good edge on it. A couple of swipes with your strop, and you clean up your edge nicely. These have a really good point on. Now, you can use things like these. They work great, and you can just replace the blades as you need them. So you can even strop these to keep them going longer. Get the bigger ones because you want some heft. You know, these little ones just, for me, don't work as well. Or go online and look for a leather knife. They get pretty fancy and expensive. These I had already, and they work great for me. So I just strop this guy just to clean up that edge. Couple of swipes, wipe it off. You want a pointy piece because when we go to cut here, we're starting at the corners and cutting back. So I'm just going to start at that corner and cut this off. Once again, we catch the boss napping on the job. She does take a lot of naps. Okay, we got our two pieces, and I'm looking at this and I'm concerned. Well, let's see what happens. This is the one we measured, and you want it, it's actually better than I thought it would be. See how tight it is? They don't quite come together. That's because it's with this, but if you do this and you push them in to form that circle, when they come tight, because you're going to be stitching these so they butt up against each other. If you see what I'm saying, they'll be butting up like that. Yep, it'll be tight, but remember, leather always stretches. Basically, this goes in there like that, and everything wraps around. And you want to know how you want it. You're going to put this on there. This piece comes up to the top of the barrel. You can see what I mean. There's my barrel. Basically this comes up to the top of the barrel. You want that gap there for your knife. Okay, you don't want too much, so you can tighten it up a bit. This is a rough measurement, by the way. And this comes around, and we have plenty of room here to work with. We've got plenty of room to put our snap on here. We just have to figure out where this actually goes. Remember, you want your bail to be above the top here. So we got that, and this comes around. Is it going to reach the top? Not quite. So I need to move this up a little bit, and now it reaches. So now we have where we want this to be when this comes around. There and there. Tip, mark this as the top. Mark this as the top. When the knife is in, this goes up to where it should be, and this comes down perfect. So we're good there with that measurement. Now we have to find the center line on this, which is 1.25 inches. So halfway. There's our center line. That means when we put this on, the join is going to be on that center line. So I'm going to do
that. How do we attach this to this? First of all, we have to make this into a barrel. So we've got to stitch these two together, and then we've got to get it mounted onto here. And don't forget that this piece here, this actual piece here, is where your belt goes in between this and the wrap. Next thing we need to do is decide the color. Now, I'm a big fan of this. British tan works perfect for me. Love that color. I'm looking at this and it's black. And this one is black. But this one is wood, which should be with tan. I'm going with tan because I want all these to be consistent. Choose the color you like and do it now. Why? You're going to be stitching using different color stitches. If you go to try and change the color, you're going to mess up that stitching. So get your color in now. Faribault's leather dye. Hundreds of different colors. I get most of my stuff on Amazon. You can't beat their pricing. It's just the way it is, unfortunate. Wear gloves, because this stuff will stain you and it takes forever to get off. You can buy these in packs of 50, 100, whatever. Get a reasonably strong one. I buy mine at Harbor Freight, by the way. When you buy these like this, they actually come with one of these. And it's just like a foam tip. You can reuse them. I have a couple of hundred now because I keep keeping them. So I got British tan. Now I'm just going to get it on there. I don't necessarily want it to be consistent because I like the look that you get when you have a darker edge going lighter to the middle. So you can see it soak right in. And the more you go over, the darker it gets. But if you want it to be even, put a couple of the same coats over, just keep going over. Now you've got to let them sit and dry. One thing it does do is you saw how supple the leather was. This is going to stiffen it up when it dries. It actually makes it easier to work for when you're punching your holes and everything for your stitching. I always feel that the patterns, you do it by just pressing in or a stamp. You might want to do that before you do this. I've done my 3 hours of storm cleanup for the day. It's too hot outside now, so time to carry on with the fun stuff. Put my stamp on. Hopefully it's in the right place. We got to put it all together, which means we got to figure out what goes where and what we need to stitch. Like I said, look how stiff the leather is now. It is actually easier to work with this way. And this goes around here, and as you can see, the leather shrunk. It's not a big deal because it will stretch. So over time it will stretch. It'll be a little tight at first, but it's no big deal. So what we have to do is stitch this together into our barrel. And we're actually going to use a baseball stitch. It's actually a very easy stitch. It's quick and works really well for butting ends together like that. We're going to have to mark all the holes. Now the other thing we have to take into account is, remember, we lined this up. Okay, that's where we wanted it. The knife goes in there, the bail stays, this comes over, actually this comes over, lines up with the top, and this comes down. This would be closed up. The belt loop is this, and what I'm talking about is we're going to have to stitch here and here so that your belt can go through underneath. We're going to need stitching here and stitching here, and you can see what I'm talking about here. And there's the belt loop. So we got to stitch this on, stitch that, and actually stitch the barrel together. First thing I'm going to do is mark this for stitching, and
Want to make sure you have the top. I marked it, remember? And you have this tool, which is a pretty handy tool to have, because you can mark a line following the edge. And all I'm going to do is, if you look, there's a little bump here on this, and that'll mark. Put that against the edge and run it down. Just like that. And the same on this side. So now that's where I'm going to be drilling for my stitching to go through. This goes together and we have to stitch this onto there, so we need to have this marked out as well. Drill these. I'm going to mark these holes with my punch. See the line? I'm actually going to put this point over and line it up on there. Come up nice and straight, using my soft blow, give it a little love tap, and now I have my stitch marks. And I'm going to overlap again and work on down. Now if you're wondering about the overlap, it helps you keep the line straight. I'm not trying to punch through, I'm using this as a marker. I use my Dremel to drill through. So when I was punching through by hand, I found I was crooked and the stitching looked good on one side and horrible on the other. It would be all crooked. Doing it that way, nice flat surface, horizontal every time. So now we have the marks here to do our baseball stitch, to stitch these butt to butt. But we also need holes that go this way, because that's how we sew it on to there. So I need to mark those holes as well. Doing this first. One there. So I'm going to be going through there, same on this side. So we want to do it the same. So we got our drill spots for this. Now we got to look here. And here's our halfway line, remember? So we're going to put this on there. Got that side there. This side folds around and lines up with it there. So I need to mark these holes where we're going to do the stitching. So I'm going to line them up on there. We just need to mark along here. That same distance we had it before. This is your marker. We got those holes. So we're good now. Let's drill the holes and start sewing, hopefully. I've got my Dremel drill and I just got to get it set up quickly. So now we have our holes drilled and we're ready to do some stitching. The first thing we're going to do is drill the rest of the holes. I forgot. We'll do that later. Let's get this done. So what we got to do is get this sewed just like that. And we're going to use a baseball stitch. Like I said, it's actually a very easy stitch to do. It's not as complicated as like a saddle stitch. Blunt tipped needles. Handy. Otherwise, you get a bunch of holes. Just say. Let's start on this. I'm just going to do it and you can watch me do it.
And there you can see the baseball stitch. Now we got to end these off, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back through, going to snip these off and burn them back. I need a lighter. You have a lighter, give yourself a little bit of room, and you can seal them on. And now we have a barrel, but it goes in just fine. Line up the holes. Where's the top? It's that way. Bail down. This comes up, lines up there. So far so good. Nobody got hurt, and we kind of look like we know what we're doing. Is stitch the barrel on. We've got access here and here, so we can do that. Remember, this is going to come over and onto there. You can do a saddle stitch or just a in-out stitch, whatever you want to do, whatever works for you. I got to drill those holes quickly, and we start all over again. Sorry, forgot it. Forgot to press record. So I'm just doing what I call a serpentine stitch, which hopefully will end up as a saddle stitch. So you can see it looks like a saddle stitch. Now you can see I actually went to the end and doubled back to come to the middle here. Remember, this holds everything together. It's holding these two pieces together, so make sure you got a solid stitch there. All right, we're getting somewhere now. So now we have this connected. Okay, now we have to bring this up and stitch it onto here. Now in order to do that, we need to mark the bottom because we've got to drill holes. So I have just a thin piece of stick that I'd keep trimming up so that it'll fit in the barrel, just like that, so that when I punch through to mark this, I don't damage anything else. So have my favorite tool, this ice pick, and I'm gonna mark the holes. We got these on here now. You know, we can stitch this together. Now you got to remember that we're going to be putting a snap here, and I yet to figure out a way to not have to go through both pieces of leather for the snap, because there's metal on the other side and it could scratch your knife. I thought about tape, but tape won't hold, it'll come off. Then I thought about stitching. The problem is you're going to have this, and that's going to look silly with stitching underneath there. Haven't figured that out yet. So now we have that stitch. The problem is I got gaps again, and I wanted to look like a saddle stitch with loops on it. So I've got to go back and fill in these scores, so it's just going back to here. And there we have that stitch line. Basically the same thing as that. So here we are here now. We've got to put a snap in there, round this off and do some stitching. Okay, so now I edged it with the black, which really is a good effect. Just touched up the 2CG and put this on. So now we've got to put the snap on. We got all the gizmos here and the punches and everything. All right, we got it this time. So, lots of different punches, which is this guy right here. I was going to put an Indian head on, but I want to keep it standard. I'll keep the Indian heads for special occasions. Now you got this little gizmo here, which you can sit that in there so that you don't dent the outside when you're hammering it in. Woot! Let's see if the knife fits. It's going to be a tight fit. Just like that. Huh. No shake, no nothing. Put it back, pop it back. So now you can actually see the difference. This is a little bigger. Huh. How about that? This is the little electrician's mate. And this one is the big boy. The T29. Woo! Right. Just when I thought I was finished, we've still got to shine these guys up and sharpen them, and then we're finished. So because this video is going to be 4.5 hours long, I'm going to show you how I shine them up. I won't show you all of them, I'll just show you the end result once I'm done with the first one. Mothers is what I use. It really does a good job. My usual warning: if you're going to be using your knife for food prep or eating, do not use a polish. They are toxic, not good. But these, for me, are going into my collection. They work knives, probably never going to be used for food prep anyway. So here you can see the blade, a little bit of mothers. Any leftovers. So to get a really good shine on it, you need to wipe it off afterwards. And here you can see what I mean about the consistent shine on it. And that took 2 minutes. Let's do the rest. And there you go there. Look at that. Very shiny. Just needs a sharpen. Cleaned up very nice. I like this knife. Colonial, huh? Who would have thunk? And there you go. This is in really good condition and shines up beautifully. Very nice, the whole black and silver going on. Very cool. Next, the big guy. So there you are. Look at that. This I've been looking for a long time, simply because I hadn't got one that says TL29 on it. And now, oh yeah, 3 shined,
Now we need to sharpen 3 of them, right? Let's do that right now. Whew. Got a big chip here.
Well, let's see. Well, we got past it. It's not perfect. It's not a really nice cut, but hey, it works. Very nice. Teal 29. Boss is in. Inspection time. Doing sharpening. Safety check. Are we good? Yeah, we good? Can I carry on here? Or no, your tail. It's in the way. That's not very safe. This guy does. This is that sheep's foot. Ooh. That sounds rough. It's not too bad to admit, I think. I thought we'd been through this. Huh. Getting that same thing. There we go. Very cool.
So there you go, campers. Long day. Just finished sharpening these, and Lee from The Usual Suspects showed up with his chainsaw. Hour and a half later, one half of that tree is chopped up and stacked up. Gotta love these guys. Anyway, here we are. This, you can see, is the electric mate. Pretty sure this is a Colonial, simply because I have one exactly the same. A nice little Barlow electrician's knife. Bale and all. Very nice. Very good condition. Bob obviously looks after his stuff, so oiled him up, so the snap is starting to come back. And then we have this guy from Colonial. Very nice. 3-blade cutter, wood handle. Love this idea. It's a great blade to have on a work EDC, and you can't beat these old guys for a work EDC. I just nicked myself. Let me get the blood away. Yep, I just sharpened them, so you would think I would learn, right? And you can see this guy has some very nice snap. 3 blades. Beautiful little knife. And then we have this guy. This is just a sentimental favorite of mine. I have a number of Camillus electrician's knives. I've even put handles on 1 or 2 of them. Beautiful knives. Once again, solid work knife. The big thing about this is that TL29. All the ones I have, that is totally worn away. You can't even see it anymore. Finally got one from Bob. It's in excellent condition. Very nice snap on it. Cleaned up beautifully. So there you are. And of course, we have the sheath that we made for the Camillus, you know. And you can see it here. My barrel, 2CG barrel sheath. Fun projects, fairly straightforward. It's a really nice project if you're starting out with leather and you want to learn some stuff. Nice and easy. I hope, what do you call it, traditional, what I call a box sheath for one of my knives coming up pretty soon. We'll find one, a nice camper, and we'll put it in that. and I'll show you how I do that. I am no expert. Self-taught. I learn every time I do this, and I can get myself into some jams doing it, but that's how you learn. Works out pretty well, and they work for just about any knife like this. Your Victorinox, these Barlows, Campers, you can make them all fit you. The nice thing about it is just changing the size of the barrel will make it fit the knife. So if you're a Victorinox fan and you have a couple of dozen of them, the different stacks, you can make a sheath. They all look the same, they're just a little thinner. Great projects, very exciting. Added some 3 very nice electrician's knives to my collection. Much appreciated, Bob. And you all be safe out there. Just saying. Especially when you just show up in there. What can I say? Mary is totally disgusted. She has taken her seat in the back here, pushing me off my chair. And don't forget, like, share, subscribe. You know the story. Pretty sure I'll be back. I did find myself some new cutters, just some regular serpentine, jacks, 2 blades, single blades, but the handles have huge potential. So that's probably going to be up next. Just saying. Thanks for watching. Always appreciate it. And we'll see you again soon.